All right, today we're diving into the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. And let me tell you, this is a seriously tangled story of incredible wealth, raw power, and some truly horrific crimes. It's a case that, even today, has so many unanswered questions. So let's break down what we actually know.
And we're going to start at the very center of it all, a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands called Little St. James. Now, on the surface, it was a paradise, a playground for the rich and famous. But underneath all that luxury, for the young girls who were brought there, it was a prison. It was so notorious that the locals had their own name for it, Pedophile Island.
So who was the man at the center of this unbelievably dark world? To really get the scale of these crimes, you first have to understand the guy who owned the island and orchestrated everything that happened there.
Jeffrey Epstein's rise, it's pretty wild. He goes from being a math teacher in Brooklyn to a multi-millionaire financial advisor. And along the way, he builds this incredibly powerful circle of friends. We're talking world leaders, presidents, even royalty.
For years, all the abuse happening on that island stayed a secret. But then, back in 2005, a single complaint to the police from a teenage girl in Florida, well, that was the one thread that once pulled would start to unravel this entire criminal network and expose a justice system that, you'll see, seemed to fail at every single turn.
It all kicked off with the incredibly brave testimony of just one victim. She told police how she was lured to Epstein's house, promised some easy money for giving a massage, and then was sexually abused.
And what the police found out, really fast, was that this wasn't just a one-time thing. No, this was a sophisticated trafficking ring, and it was structured just like a pyramid scheme. It was truly horrifying. Victims were actually paid to recruit their own friends, which created this self-perpetuating cycle of abuse.
And the sheer scale of this, it's just staggering. In their initial investigation alone, the police in Palm Beach identified more than 36 underage victims, and they knew, even then, that was just the tip of the iceberg.
This wasn't random either. They were methodical and they were cruel. They specifically went after girls they saw as vulnerable, and you can just hear the pain in this heartbreaking quote from one of the victims, who explained that her own openness about her struggles was exactly what made her their perfect type.
So you hear all that, you've got an FBI investigation, dozens of victims, serious international sex trafficking charges. You're thinking life in prison, right? Well, nope. Epstein was sentenced to just 18 months in a county jail.
How on earth did that happen? Well, it all comes down to this, a secret, sealed plea deal. This agreement, which was worked out by a federal attorney named Alexander Acosta, it gave Epstein and all his accomplices immunity from all federal charges. And the most shocking part? It was all hidden from his victims, which was a total violation of their legal rights. And calling his sentence a punishment is a real stretch. He was kept in a private wing of the jail. And get this, he was allowed to leave for work release at his office for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He was basically just using the jail as his own personal hotel. So after he gets out in 2009, Epstein goes right back to his lavish life. Private jets, powerful friends, the whole thing. And for nearly a decade, it really seemed like the system had just let him get away with it. But one journalist, she wasn't letting the story die.
For nearly 10 years, a journalist with the Miami Herald, Julie K. Brown, just relentlessly dug into this case. Her 2018 series called Perversion of Justice exposed the crimes and that sweetheart deal to the entire world. And it created this absolute firestorm of public outrage that forced the authorities to finally act. And as you can see, by July 2019, Epstein was arrested again.
Now, this time, Epstein was facing up to 45 years in prison. It looked like his victims were finally going to get their day in court. But then, the story took its most shocking and bizarre turn yet.
On August 10, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his high-security jail cell. The official cause of death was ruled a suicide, but that explanation, well, it satisfied almost no one.
His death immediately sparked this huge wave of conspiracy theories, all captured by that slogan you've probably heard, Epstein didn't kill himself. The feeling was that he was silenced to protect all the powerful men involved in his crimes. And that fueled this massive public demand to unseal all the court documents from his case, the now infamous Epstein Files.
The fight to get these files released, it became a huge political issue. It really turned into this battleground of public pressure versus official secrecy, with a lot of promises being made from all sides.
Now, the source material we're analyzing for this explainer
describes a scenario where, after initially campaigning on a promise to release the files, the Trump administration did a 180. The president is quoted as dismissing the whole thing as a boring Democrat hoax.
But thanks to bipartisan pressure, some files did eventually get released, and they contained a number of allegations related to Donald Trump. The details you see here, all drawn from the source files, include claims of him traveling on Epstein's plane, an FBI report from a limo driver, and a statement from an alleged victim placing him at one of Epstein's parties.
But here's the catch. This supposed victory for transparency, it was far from complete. The documents that were made public looked like this, just covered in black ink. Names, dates, key details, all heavily redacted, hiding the full picture. And this really gets to the heart of why this story just won't go away. What has been released, it's just the tiny tip of a massive iceberg. It's estimated that over 1 million documents related to the Epstein case are still locked away from the public.
And so that leaves us right here with this one huge question. While some things have come out, the full story of Jeffrey Epstein, his entire network, and the powerful people who might have enabled his crimes, that all remains locked away in redacted files. And it leaves his victims, and all of us, still waiting for the whole truth.